But one of the options that we didn't discuss in that episode was absolutely investing elsewhere, not in property. And I think one of the big risks with rent vesting is that it's still lumpy. It's one property that you're buying. And then down the track, if your circumstances change or you partner up or you get more money, more income, you can afford the home that you want in the location that you want. If unless you're earning a lot more money, you're probably not going to be able to do that without selling the property that you bought as a rent vesting option. And if you didn't do that and then trading property is really expensive. And so therefore, if you got the option to actually invest in the share market instead, and with guidance and with research and then absolutely that's a legitimate thing to consider. And I think that that's something that we really want to get into the discussion with first home buyers. It's not property or die, that that if you're not a failure if you haven't bought a property, because you actually can lose money in property so easily. And it's a one-way ticket for some people, and it's not a very pleasant journey that they just bought the one-way ticket on. So we want to make sure that they make really good decisions and actually don't get themselves in that situation, which is why we want to talk to you about this.
And you hit the nail on the head, Owen. It wasn't the right time for you to buy a property. And that's a really important factor. It doesn't mean that another time wasn't the right time for you to buy a property. It just simply wasn't that in that phase in your life at that time and with the goals that you had, property was not the vehicle for you to actually achieve the goals that you wanted to achieve. And I think that's just invaluable advice for people to take on board. Just because everyone else is buying a house doesn't mean you have to.
Yeah. Actually, Owen, you also said one thing that I thought was interesting. You said that it's almost like you're saying that buying a property wouldn't have been risky at that stage, but investing in shares was risky. And I guess that's the thing that too, we just want to put the spotlight that actually buying property is risky too.
Yeah.
But whereas we sort of all brought up to think bricks and mortar, it's safe. You can still drive past it. It's always there. And let's face it, it is less volatile than the share market, certainly, but it is still risky. And I think that that's a really important thing that, if you listen to us too much, you would never buy a property. But if you do it right, you can do so well in life. You can really be very secure.
I might just quickly loop in 2 points there, what you both said, Veronica and Megan. So the first one is that, with property being such a large purchase, if we go back to the idea of the marshmallow or the kid with the lollipops, the first one that you actually purchase is actually the most important.
Oh, yeah.
So the thing is with stocks and with your share market, your brokerage account, you can start with $500. So from that perspective, buying something, I would hope that for most people listening to this, if they did lose $500, it's not life or death. But if you go into a tragic circumstance with a property and you think, oh my Lord, what have I done? That's a big deal, right? And then to loop in with my experience, the idea of risk. So when I meant risk before, what I was referring to was the risk that I got it wrong. So the risk that I wasn't happy investing in businesses or shares.
As in that choice.
Yeah, my choice. And I would have to live with that, the risk that I would regret it.
Yeah.
And I took that risk early on because there was, let's say, there's a 20% chance that the risk was that I regret it. Well, there's the other 80%, which could actually mean that it was a good decision. So I wanted to make sure that I gave that a shot while I was younger, because once I had kids and started a business and done all that sort of stuff, I probably wouldn't have had that flexibility to make up for lost time.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was thinking about with risk. Yeah, I've heard some shocking first home buyer stories. And that's why I love resources like this. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on show. I'm such a big advocate for anyone that educates people, especially on first home buying, because you see it go wrong, people just don't get it. And it's so scary for them.
And you often don't find that out until 10 years down, 5 years down the track when you go to sell it.
Yeah. And that's the really scary thing about property, and always shares too, but more so probably because of that high upfront cost. It takes a lot of effort to get one. And then it also, it can be risky. So you want to do it right. And that's why, courses, short courses, any type of course is such a brilliant resource for property buying, because let's say, I know the course you've got at the moment is pretty low price, I think $39, but but let's say you had $1,000 course, right? If that $1,000 saves you $50,000, then that is money well spent. Or if it makes you $50,000 more because you bought in the right location, then that is money well spent. And people don't think like that because, again, it doesn't have that instant gratification. What do you mean I've got to put in the work? What do you mean there's no guarantee of an outcome? Well, that's the type of thing that you've got to do to make good decisions and make sure that the risk is as low as possible.